For context, my mom owns winter timeshares in a couple of cities. I've invited friends to these timeshares for the past few years. They only pay for their own food and entertainment on these vacations. The first timeshare has 2 bedrooms and a loft with 2 twin beds. In the first year, I invited 3 friends and one of their moms tagged along. The 2 moms got the 2 bedrooms, 2 of us slept in the twin beds, 1 slept on an air mattress, and 1 slept on the couch. We all just stayed in our respective spots the entire week, no swapping. In the second year, only 2 friends came, so there were 4 of us in total. That's when my best friend, let's call her Violet, suggested we rotate beds the whole week. I didn't really like this idea, but I'm not very confrontational and it's what the other 2 seemed to want, so I just went along with it. In the third year, it becomes more of an issue. One of the friends, let's call her Bailey, recently had a displaced disc, so I was going to give her the bedroom, but Violet insisted on the whole swapping beds thing. On the night it was my turn in the room, Bailey gets horribly sick, then wakes me so she can sleep in the room near the bathroom. I'm forced to sleep in her bed, and guess what happens? I got sick too. Ever since, I've really hated the whole swapping beds thing. I think it's a pain and causes issues. I sort of put my foot down last time and limited the swapping to one person getting the bed for 5 days, and the others got 1 day each, but God, I still think it's stupid. Now I have enough vacation time to go to an additional timeshare of my mom's, and this one has a different layout. It has 2 bedrooms, one with a king and one with a queen, and a Queen Murphy bed in the living room. Violet doesn't want to share a bed, so she's bringing an air mattress, but she doesn't want to sleep on it for more than 2 nights because her back will hurt, even though she's the one actively choosing not to share. I claim the bedroom since this is my first time going to this timeshare in a long time, and that's the bed I used to sleep in when I was a kid. But she's come up with a whole convoluted plan for swapping I didn't bother reading. I sort of want to pull the card of, hey, this is my family's timeshare, and frankly, I don't want to give up the bedroom. But I feel like that'll just make me a huge butt face. Honestly, I wouldn't mind doing a yearly cycle, like 1 year, one person gets it the whole week, the next year the next person gets it, etc. I just hate the whole swapping thing. But now I feel like I've set a precedent. So Reddit, would I be the a-hole for putting my foot down and stopping the whole bed swapping? Also, by the way, my mom, the owner of these timeshares, also thinks it's stupid and it annoys her too. Edit. I know it seems like Violet is a bad friend, but I did write this when I was annoyed. Honestly, 95% of the time, Violet is a great friend and a wonderful person. She came over and cooked for me after my mother had a stroke, made sure I was doing okay when both my parents were diagnosed with cancer, and helped me get a job at a low point. This is a very small screenshot into our friendship. Update, I definitely blew this up in my head. I finally put my foot down about the bed swapping. There wasn't a fight or even a word of opposition. We're now back home from vacation and everything went great. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, stop inviting Violet. She can't be happy with a free vacation. Tell her to suck it up. Well, tell her how things will work and that if she can't accept the plan, that you are sorry that she isn't coming. And I'm going to say it. You're the jerk for making yourself and everyone else deal with this nonsense. Violet is a troublemaker. Don't invite trouble. Comment 2. You're not the jerk and absolutely do this. I sort of want to pull the card of, hey, this is my family's timeshare and frankly, I don't want to give up the bedroom. When Violet is hosting you for free at her family's timeshare, that's when she can swap all the beds she wants. Now for the update, thanks for all the comments on my last post. They really helped me sort things out. So let me tell you what happened next. After I put my foot down about the bed swapping, I thought that would be the end of it. But no, things got even more complicated. Violet, who's usually super understanding, got all weird about it. She started acting distant and wouldn't talk about the vacation plans. It was like she was avoiding the whole topic. Then out of nowhere, Bailey, who's been quiet this whole time, tells me she's been talking to Violet. She says Violet feels left out because I always get the best bed. I couldn't believe it. Here I was thinking I was being fair, and Violet's feeling like I'm hogging the good stuff. So we all sat down to talk. It was awkward, but we hashed it out. We agreed that I'd get the bedroom for the first half of the week, and Violet would get it for the second half. Bailey and the other friend would take turns on the Murphy bed and the air mattress. It seemed like a good compromise. But then the night before we left for the timeshare, Bailey calls me, crying. Her back's gone out again and she can't come. Now it's just me, Violet, and the other friend. Suddenly the bed situation is all messed up again. We get to the timeshare and it's like walking on eggshells. Violet's mood is off and it's making everything tense. She's insisting on sticking to the plan, even though Bailey's not there, and it's just not working. Then 2 days in, something big happens. Violet's air mattress pops. She's furious, saying it's a sign we should have stuck to her original plan. I'm trying to keep the peace, offering to switch beds, but she's having none of it. The next day I come back from getting groceries, and I find Violet in the king bed, my stuff moved to the side. She just took it upon herself to change the whole arrangement. I'm so mad I can barely speak. But then I remember all the times Violet's been there for me. She's not just a friend, she's like family. So I take a deep breath and decide to let it go. I tell her it's fine, she can have the king bed. I'll take the Murphy bed. It's not worth losing a friend over a bed, right? The rest of the week goes by, and it's like nothing happened. We have a blast, just like old times. On the last night, Violet pulls me aside. She apologizes, says she was being selfish, and didn't realize how much stress I was under with all the planning. We hug it out, and it feels like a weight's been lifted. I realize that sometimes you've got to choose your battles, and sometimes letting go is the best way to hold on to what's important. So we're back home now, and things are back to normal. Violet and I are already planning next year's trip, and this time we're going to make sure everyone's on the same page from the start. No more bed-swapping drama. Thanks for reading about my little adventure. It's been quite the week. My new neighbor parks in my spot and keys my car, so I make sure they get evicted and learn to respect other people's property. Hi everyone, I'm a 22-year-old female and currently in my last year of college. About a week ago, I moved into my new apartment. The community is really small, with 3 apartment buildings and a total of 28 apartments. Each apartment has one reserved covered parking spot that clearly states each apartment number on the overhang above the spot. The apartment also has uncovered spots that are open to any of the tenants or guests that come into the community. Saturday morning, my family and I arrived at the community to begin moving all my stuff into the apartment. As we drove in, we noticed a car was parked in my reserve spot, which was a bit annoying, but I said whatever because 2 spaces away, there was an uncovered spot I could park in the meantime. I parked. My family and I began the process of getting everything into the apartment. Once we finished, I came out to find the car was gone, which I thought, cool, they're gone, then moved my car into the space. The first few days at the new place were nice. Just settled in, and there were no issues with my car spot. On Wednesday morning, as I was heading out to campus, though I noticed on the windshield of my car, a note was left that said, "This is a reserved spot. Please do not park here." I was annoyed but knew there wasn't much I could do, and I was heading out. So I took the note, snapped a picture to have as proof when I contacted management and left. The next day I had work in my fieldwork placement for a class, which meant I wouldn't be getting home till later around 8:30 p.m. When I got home that night, I found another car, different from the first car, parked in my spot again. I was annoyed since I couldn't do much once again, so I parked in an uncovered spot and wrote a note stating that this isn't their spot. It was for my apartment. Please don't park here. The next day I woke up to find the car still there with the note. I had some errands to do, so I thought it would give them some time to see the note, realize their mistake, and know not to park there anymore. A few hours went by and I came back to see that the new car was no longer there, but the first car from when I first moved in was in its place instead. Now I'm pissed off because they clearly got my message and are choosing to ignore it. So I texted the manager about it again, letting him know everything that has happened from the last couple days and asking whether or not they had given my spot to someone else. I ended up telling some friends about everything that happened while we were hanging out last night, and while most people in the group said I was in the right, one of the girls in the group said that I was a jerk for texting management instead of trying to resolve it first with my neighbors because they may need the spot to get to their apartment easier, and now I could be causing an issue for them. I don't think I'm the jerk since it's my reserved spot, but her words kind of stuck with me about whether I might be causing an issue for my neighbor. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Are you sure the number on the overhang is the apartment number? I've known places that have numbered parking which doesn't match the apartment number. So apartment 28 could be assigned parking spot 55. Check with management to ensure that the number of the spot matches your apartment number. Someone thinks it's their reserved space. It's likely yours, but check first. Oh, also, not the a-hole for going via management. It's literally their job to sort this stuff out. Comment 2, not the OA hole. If this is a spot specifically assigned to your unit, then you have every right to call management, and if the person continues to keep parking there, you also have the right to call and have the offending vehicle towed. You left a note on the offending vehicle's windshield, and considering that you didn't know which person was parked there, you did give them a warning when you left the note. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So after I texted the manager, things really took a turn. The car that kept parking in my spot? Turns out it belonged to someone living in the building across from mine. This guy, let's call him Mr. Entitled, apparently decided my spot was more convenient for him. The manager told me he'd talk to him, but I wasn't holding my breath. The very next day, I found my car keyed. Coincidence? I think not. I was fuming, and I had a good idea who did it. I called the manager again, and he promised to check the security cameras. Meanwhile, I had to shell out money for repairs, money I really didn't have. But here's where it gets crazy. The manager calls me back and says the cameras caught Mr. Entitled's buddy doing the deed, not Mr. Entitled himself. So now there's this whole mess where Mr. Entitled is denying everything, and his buddy is MIA. The manager said he'd handle it, but I was done playing nice. I decided to confront Mr. Entitled. I caught him as he was getting into his car, in my spot, again. I told him I knew what he did, and that his friend was caught on camera. He just laughed it off, saying I had no proof it was him who told his friend to do it. That's when I lost it. I may have said some things I'm not proud of, but the nerve of this guy. The aftermath was a mess. Mr. Entitled tried to turn some of the neighbors against me, saying I was harassing him. But when the manager finally stepped in and showed the footage to a few key people, the tide started to turn. I guess seeing is believing, and Mr. Entitled's charm didn't work on everyone. Just when I thought it was over, Mr. Entitled pulled a move that could have ruined everything. He filed a complaint against me, claiming I was the one causing trouble. It was his word against mine, and for a moment, I was scared it would come down to who was more convincing. But then the buddy who keyed my car turned up. Apparently, he felt guilty and decided to come clean. He confessed that Mr. Entitled had put him up to it. With his confession, the manager had no choice but to evict Mr. Entitled. It was a whole ordeal, with shouting and threats. But in the end, he was gone. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but life's never that simple. The next day, I found a nasty note on my door from one of Mr. Entitled's friends, calling me all sorts of names. I was starting to feel like I was living in a bad soap opera. But then something unexpected happened. A neighbor from the next building, someone I hadn't even met, knocked on my door. She'd heard about the drama and wanted to apologize on behalf of the community. She said most people were glad Mr. Entitled was gone and that they were sorry I had to go through all that. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. So that's where I'm at now. Mr. Entitled is out of my life, and I've got my parking spot back. It's been a busy few days, and I'm just hoping for some peace and quiet from here on out. Thanks for reading. My sister calls me a witch for not taking her bully stepsons to a concert. So I pay for my niece's therapy and watch as her cheating boyfriend dumps her and her precious boys get sent packing while we rock out at the show and she's left thanking me. I, 26-year-old female, have a niece, 15-year-old female. She is my sister's oldest child, and for the longest time, she was her only child. My sister started dating her boyfriend 2 years ago, who has 2 older boys, 16 and 17. About a year ago, my niece and I moved out of our hometown, so we don't get to spend as much time together now. My niece recently confided in me that the 2 boys have been giving her a hard time at home. They lock her in her room, steal food, and blame it on her. They also constantly call her nasty names, and neither their dad nor my sister do anything about it. I talked to my sister about this, and she said I should stay out of it since they aren't my kids, and she knows how to handle her household. The issue is that last weekend, while I was visiting, my niece and I saw that one of our favorite artists is going on tour. She asked if we could go see them, and I told her I would talk to her mom about it. However, we would have to make a 4-hour drive and most likely stay overnight in a hotel. I also told her that she had to get A's in her classes for me to take her. She agreed. When I talked to my sister about the concert, she asked why I wasn't taking the boys as well. I was confused and told her that those boys were her boyfriend's kids. I have no bond with them, even though I've tried. They never want to hang out, don't join in on family events, and always disappear when everyone gets together. They also disrespect my niece and constantly get suspended at school. I told my sister that I wouldn't reward that kind of behavior and would only be taking my niece, especially since I'm the one paying for the trip. My sister called me an inconsiderate witch and said I was playing favorites with her kids. I explained that I've tried multiple times to hang out with the boys, get them to talk to me, or have a meal with me/family, but they always refuse and shut down when asked questions about themselves. My sister said I couldn't take my niece unless I took the boys too, and she wouldn't give me any money for the trip. I said I would give her time to think it over, but she said she wouldn't change her mind. So am I the bad guy in this situation? I don't think I am, since I don't even know if the boys like the artist we want to see, but now I feel horrible. I have no idea what to tell my niece. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot in your sister is really failing your niece here. There is no reason a 15-year-old girl cannot have a one-on-one relationship with her aunt. It doesn't sound like the boys gaff anyway. And you set the all is in your classes requirement. Did the boys fulfill that? Those boys are also bullying your niece. If things get bad, she should talk to a counselor at school who might be able to get through to your sister where you cannot. Edit. And there is nothing for it but to tell your niece the truth. Comment 2. 100%. Not the idiot. Even if you did have a bond with the boys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a girls' trip. She would treasure that experience, just as the boys would treasure an uncle taking them on something special. For all your sister is concerned, it doesn't even need to be about your niece having a hard time, though I commend you for looking out for her. This is simply an aunt wanting to do something with her, only niece. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for more updates. So much has happened since the last post. Things went from bad to worse after my last visit. My niece's situation at home got so out of hand that she started failing her classes. She was so stressed out by her stepbrother's bullying that she couldn't focus on her schoolwork. I felt terrible because I promised her the concert if she got A's, but now that seemed impossible. I decided to take action. I couldn't just stand by and watch her suffer. So I called my sister and told her that I was going to take my niece to a therapist. My sister was furious. She said she didn't believe in therapy and that I was overstepping. But I couldn't just do nothing. I found a good therapist in their area and set up an appointment for my niece. I even offered to pay for it. The therapist was a game changer. After a few sessions, my niece opened up about everything. The bullying, the stress, and how she felt ignored by her mom and her mom's boyfriend. The therapist helped her develop coping strategies and even suggested a meeting with the whole family. Meanwhile, my sister's relationship with her boyfriend started to crumble. Turns out, he was cheating on her. My sister was devastated. She had been so focused on him that she hadn't seen what was happening with her kids. She finally realized that her daughter needed her. The family meeting with the therapist was intense. My niece spoke her heart out, telling her mom and her stepdad about the bullying and how it made her feel. The boys were there too, and they had to listen to everything. It was the first time they saw the real impact of their actions. Their dad was shocked and ashamed. He had no idea it was that bad. After the meeting, my sister broke up with her boyfriend. She apologized to my niece for not being there for her and promised to do better. The boys were sent to live with their mom, which was probably for the best. They needed a fresh start too. With all this drama, the concert was the last thing on my mind, but my niece hadn't forgotten. She worked hard to pull her grades up, and even though she didn't get straight A's, she improved a lot. I was so proud of her. I decided to surprise her. I bought the concert tickets and told her we were going. Just the two of us. She was over the moon. It was a 4-hour drive and we sang our favorite songs the whole way there. We stayed overnight in a hotel just like I promised. The concert was amazing. We danced, we sang, and for a few hours all the troubles seemed to melt away. It was a moment of pure joy, something we both needed. When we got back, my sister thanked me. She said that taking my niece to the concert was the best thing for her. It was a sign that things were going to be okay. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it too. Thanks for reading about our roller coaster of a month. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!